Joe Biden is finally going to give his first press conference after avoiding the media for months. The Guardian thinks the American dream as far as mobility is broken, and Candace Owens and Cardi B are fighting it out over Twitter, and I have a lot to say about that. Before we get into our lead story today, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. As you know, it does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please hit that bell icon so you are notified every time we upload a video, which is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, I want you to leave us a comment and let us know how you think Joe Biden's doing in his first 100 days of office. Let us know if he's doing bad, moderate, or good. We would love to hear from you. In our lead story of the day, Joe Biden is finally holding a press conference this Thursday after spending months and months avoiding the media. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited for this. In my mind, this should be on pay-per-view, but we're going to get it for free. So grab your coffee, grab your popcorn, grab your drinks, grab whatever you need for this morning presser, because this is going to be epic. This headline comes from our friends over at the Daily Wire. If you're not a subscriber, please be sure to become a member today. It is written by Ryan Saavedra, and he titles it, Biden to finally give first press conference after avoiding media for months. Gee, I wonder why he's avoiding the media. Maybe because he's not all there. Maybe because he doesn't know his name. Maybe because the guy can't even read off a teleprompter properly. Maybe he doesn't know where he's at times. And also maybe because he says nutty things, and that's probably somebody you shouldn't have in front of the press. But I'm excited. I can't wait. Like I said, get your coffee, your popcorn, your breakfast, whatever you eat in the morning to watch this presser, because this is going to be epic. It's going to be exciting. and maybe he'll make it through. You know, and honestly, I'm kind of hoping he does just make it through. And I hope that he's okay as he's doing it. But if they press him any way, shape, or form like they did Trump, I just don't see it happening. Ryan starts off by saying Democrat President Joe Biden will finally give his first press conference next week after avoiding the practice since getting into office, setting a modern-day record. The announcement comes after the White House faced increasing criticism from both right-wing and left-wing publications over Biden not holding press conferences. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that Biden will give the news conference on March 25th, more than 2 full months after taking office. I don't think this is a good idea for her to announce it ahead of time. Kayleigh McEnany thinks the same thing. And there's multiple reasons for that, but kind of the most important one is if he doesn't show up for this press conference, then we're going to think that something happened to the president. We're definitely going to think he's not okay. He's not capable of doing it. So I'm kind of curious if he is actually going to do it on March 25th. And if he doesn't, how are the media going to spin it? Or how is Jen Psaki going to try and fumble through her words and spin that news story? But usually it's better, like Kayleigh McEnany said, just announce it the day of that he's going to do it. A big surprise to everyone. But at least he's going to get out there and maybe do a presser. We'll see. And it should be noted that as of 4 days ago, Trump had already given 5 news conferences at this point in his presidency. Obama had given 2, George W. Bush 3, and Clinton 5. So for some reason, Joe Biden, because again, he's completely normal, just has decided to avoid the media for this long in his presidency, even though he has massive immigration issues. He has a crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border. He's trying to increase taxes on businesses, which isn't a good idea because you just closed businesses down for an entire year. You were trying to increase the federal minimum wage from $7.25 to $15. We would like answers on why you decided to do all this or are trying to do this at this moment in time. It doesn't make sense. But again, hopefully we'll get some answers finally to all our questions on March 25th when Joe Biden decides he wants to be a sentient human being and stand in front of the pressers or the press and answer some questions. As previously mentioned in my other videos, I said I'd keep you up to date on everything regarding immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border and how the Biden administration is handling it. We have a news headline here from Blaze Media. It is titled, 4 people with names on terror watch list arrested at U.S. southern border since October 1st reports. 3 individuals were reportedly from Yemen and the 4th was from Serbia. This is written by Breck Dumas. He goes on to say 4 people whose names match those of suspects on the FBI's terror screening database have been arrested trying to enter the U.S. from Mexico since October 1st of last year, according to multiple reports. But remember, When Trump said that terrorists were going to cross the US-Mexico border, very bad people, he was just a racist. This stuff wasn't actually happening. They weren't apprehending terrorists. They weren't apprehending criminals crossing the border. This was just a conspiracy theory. It's fake news. It's not real. But here you have terrorists, violent criminals that are on the watch list trying to cross our US-Mexico border. So, of course, it's a great idea to keep this border open for all, because there's never any bad people that want to come into our country and harm us. It's only good people that want to better their lives. But that's the left of the thinking. Never makes sense. They just do stuff without actually thinking about it. And now we have this immigration crisis where FEMA has to come in and try to fix everything because the Biden administration won't. It goes on to say, Axios first reported that U.S. Customs and Border Protection confirmed to Congress Tuesday that 3 of the individuals apprehended were Yemen nationals and another was Serbian, citing an unnamed congressional aide who was purportedly briefed on the correspondence. Fox News then confirmed the report, citing a congressional aide familiar with the CBP information, noting that the Serbian national was encountered on January 28th amid an increasing surge of immigrant or migrant numbers in recent months. So what basically you have happening is there's people, terrorists from different countries that are coming through the US-Mexico border because they're taking advantage of Joe Biden's policies, which at the end of the day is going to harm Americans rather than benefit them. I understand, as I previously mentioned in my videos, that we all want to help these people, but your handling of the US-Mexico border is despicable. It is disgusting, and you need to fix it. There's people that are suffering, and they shouldn't have come over here in the first place. You need to lock up the border, increase your policies, put your foot down, like you supposedly are saying, because Joe Biden just came out today and was like, "Oh, hey, don't come at a later time."
A lot of the migrants coming in saying they're coming in because you promised to make things better. It seems to be getting worse by the day. Was it a mistake not to anticipate this surge?
Well, first of all, there was a surge. The last 2 years, in 19 and 20, there was a surge as well.
This one might be worse.
No, well, it could be, but here's the deal. We're sending back people to, first of all, the idea that Joe Biden said come, because I heard the other day that they're coming because they know I'm a nice guy and I won't do what Trump did.
They're saying this.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. They're not.
Do you have to say quite clearly, don't come?
Yes. I can say quite clearly, don't come, and what we're in the process of getting set up, don't leave your town or city or community.
As he's, winking, he didn't really wink, but that's basically what he's doing, right? Because if he didn't want them to come, he would increase the construction on the border wall, he would increase his policies, he would sit there and increase the enforcement that's along the border to stop this from happening, and he would do a lot more than just saying, hey, don't come later, or don't come now's not a good time. Frankly, you coming across the border illegally is never a good time. Do your paperwork, pay the money, do whatever you have to do to come in the country legally. I want you to come. Conservatives all want you to come as long as you're good people and you're going to benefit this country and benefit yourselves. But if you're just here to cause problems, then stay in your own country, cause those problems over there, and have them fix it. Our next news story is an opinion piece from The Guardian, and it is titled, "The American Dream of Upward Mobility is Broken. Look at the Numbers." It starts off by saying the U.S. has long prided itself as being an exceptionally fluid society with respect to social class and economic mobility. The American dream holds that anyone who works hard can achieve economic success, perhaps even rise from rag to riches. Well, it's not necessarily that. It's more of you're going to create a better life for yourself in this country, and you'll have a lot more opportunities to do so than the country that you were previously coming from. It goes on to say, underlying this belief is an assumption of abundant opportunity and mediocrity. Arriving immigrants often believe they have come to a land of opportunity, which they have, with a level playing field allowing for advancement and success. That would be completely crazy if you think you're coming over here with a level playing field. You have a different skill set than somebody else. You have a different education than somebody else. You have a different background than somebody else. So to come over here and think that you have an even playing field with anybody is just absolutely ludicrous. And I don't know who's out there spewing that kind of idea to anybody, but that is not the idea of the American dream. The idea of the American dream is that you come over here, we're a melting pot of cultures, you'll assimilate within the American culture, the American creed, and from there you will be given opportunities to succeed. That doesn't mean you will succeed. That is all based on your individual choices and the outcomes that are created from those individual choices. But to say here that you're going to come over on an even playing field is just, it's a little silly. Yet, according to recent research, the United States has far less mobility and equality of opportunity today than the European Union or other OECD countries. The left just loves quoting the OECD countries and comparing us to the European Union because they're doing so great, right? Even though we're the most dominant force on the face of the planet. But yeah, let's compare ourselves with other countries. First, the amount of economic advantage passed down from one generation to the next is much higher in the US. Approximately 50% of a father's income position is inherited by his son. In contrast, the amount in Norway or Canada is less than 20%. What about rising from rags to riches? In the US, 8% of children raised in the bottom 20% of the income distribution are able to climb to the top 20% as adults, while the figure in Denmark is nearly double at 15%. All comes down to your individual choices that you're making on an individual basis. And you can't blame the United States, the economy of the United States. You can't blame other people for that. You can't blame other races for that. That is on an individual level. Maybe people in Denmark just tend to work harder. Who knows? But just looking at a straight statistic or percentage doesn't really mean much to me because those numbers can fluctuate from year to year, time to time. Equality of opportunity is also much less viable in the US than in other OECD countries. I don't believe that one bit. American life expectancy varies up to 20 years depending on the zip code of residence. I don't know what that has to do with anything. If you're trying to equate that with you coming over here and the distribution of wealth from one family member to another because you had less time to accumulate wealth, and that is making a correlation between life expectancy and you giving your wealth to the next generation, maybe you have a case there, but it's kind of random that you'd bring that up. Quality of education also differs widely depending on the wealth of the neighborhood that families reside in. See, as a teacher, I tend to disagree with that. Yes, there are better teachers and better districts than underprivileged districts, but everybody has access to the materials that they need for the most part. Maybe you don't have the most up-to-date technology, but as long as you have a textbook, you'll still be able to succeed. You don't have to look any further than seeing Thomas Sowell's education. There are people that had to work hard within these underprivileged school districts and climb their way out of poverty and become successful. It is possible, but again, that's why it's called the American dream. You have to work hard for it. Other people have it easy. I'm not saying that's totally the reality for everybody. Some people have to work harder than others. Some people are set up for success already because their parents worked hard and their parents' worked hard. But again, the idea that somebody is just kind of stuck in that wealth gap because they're in a lower income neighborhood, thus they're in a underprivileged school, to me is a little silly. And I understand people are in very tough situations and it's hard to climb out of it. But again, to say that the American dream is being diminished because of that, it's silly to me. And the chances of being victimized by a crime, exposed by environmental toxins, or having unmet healthcare needs is far greater for America's poor than those impoverished in all the OECD countries. You're kind of bringing up just leftist ideas, climate change, toxins, as if this stuff has a in general tendency of swaying you from moving up in mobility regarding, your wealth. Again, some of this stuff just seems a little bit silly. I'm not saying it's not a factor for some people, but again, if you're going to talk in general terms that the American dream is kind of broken because of this, that to me is just nuts. It goes on to say, we discuss one explanation for these trends in our book. Poorly understood what America gets wrong about poverty. The United States has traditionally viewed economic success and failure as a result of individual effort. Rugged individualism and self-reliance have been defining qualities of the American character. On the other hand, our European neighbors are much more likely to attribute poverty to structural factors such as social class or the lack of jobs. We don't have an issue with really any of those other than maybe social class, but the lack of jobs just doesn't really impact us here. I mean, obviously when there's an economic issue and you have a job loss problem because of the economic issue, that makes sense. But again, you want to put certain things in place in a monetary way to where even if you did lose your job, you would have the savings set up for that while you're looking for another job. As a result, other OECD countries are much more willing to invest in a robust social welfare state designed to help some of these structural inequalities. Yeah, but we're not like that. And that's the thing. We're based on the individual. You have to create a social safety net for yourself. And we have that on a locality basis with churches and our neighbors. And then in a much bigger way, we have that on a federal level. Well, we'll even go back one step. We have that on a state level and then a federal level. So it's not that we don't have safety nets. We have some of the most generous safety nets in the entire world. But again, for this American dream, it's not built on a safety net. The American dream is built on hard work and ruggedness, and for you climbing the ladder. And that might not happen in your generation. It might happen in the generation after that for your children. I'll give you a prime example. There is a family, I think they're a Taiwanese family owning a donut shop. Those are two of the most hardest working people I've ever seen, but they put their daughter through doctorate school. She is now a doctor, and the hope is her success will translate in their success, even though I personally think they are successful. They have a donut shop. It's not the greatest donut shop ever in terms of look and stuff like that, but from what they were coming from to what they are now, in their mind, they have met the American dream. They're not wealthy. They're not going from rags to riches, in maybe their sense of this article, but in their mind, they have gone from rag to riches. They are doing well. They have done the American dream. They have accomplished it. And look at where their family is now at, and where it is going with their daughter being a doctor. So it's only going to move up for their family name because they made the correct individual choices. They buckled down. They woke up every morning, made those donuts. That's a cheap margin to make when you're in the food industry, but they're sitting there doing it for themselves and their daughter, and it can't be any more glorious than that. Research has shown that more racially heterogeneous societies tend to be less generous in their economic redistribution policies to address structural inequality. So basically they're saying, hey, if you're of different races, you're not going to be as generous with your money. That is completely false when it comes to religious groups. They're kind of just putting things in general terms of, oh, you know what, there's homogeneous groups in the OECD, in European Union. They're all white people, so they're more inclined to give their wealth to other white people rather than maybe African-American people. But here in America, we're the most generous country there is. We have a redistribution of wealth in the terms of donations and charities, not through redistribution of wealth through our government. We don't want that. We shouldn't need that. That's socializing things. You want that redistribution to happen on an individual level through people giving their money as well as their time to those in need. But what has happened here in America is we're reverting to what the European Union is doing, to where everything is coming down through the government, where the government is picking up and being that social safety net rather than your family, rather than your neighbor, rather than your local churches, to where it was before in America, where we had that idea of those localities, your neighbors, your family being that social safety net. We need to revert back to that. But unfortunately, the government is our baby daddy, and they're the one that's trying to get us out of this and creating inequality and get rid of inequity through the redistribution of wealth, the possibility of reparations, redistributing other taxpayers' monies to other people, things of that nature. But this article is just completely bogus, saying the American dream of upward mobility is broken. You have the greatest opportunity in America than any other country to increase your wealth from the nation you're coming from to the nation you are now. Even here, you have a greater chance of increasing your mobility than anywhere else in the world. And that is why people are coming to America in mass droves. That is why people are risking sending their son or daughter over here unaccompanied, coming through the U.S.-Mexico border, because they know that their chances of opportunity are way better here than anywhere else in the world. You can't even come close to comparing us to the European Union or the OECD. We are way better than them by far. And this, to me, is just a hit piece against the American dream, and I don't appreciate it. And I'm sure many of you don't either. Keep working hard, everyone. Don't believe in this crap that you're reading from the Guardian. If you work hard, you can move up in this world. You can move up in America. And look at other people that have done it. And again, it's not always going to look the way that you want it, the American dream. It might look like some people are still struggling, but if you ask them, have they achieved the American dream from what they were at before, they will tend to say yes. Our last news story of the day is dealing with Candace Owens and Cardi B fighting it out over Twitter. It comes once again from our friends over at the Daily Wire. It is titled, "I am 100% suing Cardi. Candace Owens blasts Cardi B after rapper posts doctored tweet false claims." Candace Owens and rapper Cardi B feuded on Tuesday for hours after the WAP singer was irked by Owens' criticism of her Grammys performance, which included simulated sex acts with another rapper. And I do agree with Candace Owens here. I don't think this is an image that Cardi should be pushing out there to young women and young men. I have young women in my classroom. They dress like Cardi B. They talk like Cardi B. They want to be like Cardi B. And she's pushing simulated sex acts to these young women and men, and they're going to mimic these things that they're pushing out there in front of them. I don't think this is the way that art should be portrayed to our culture. But, you know, what do we know? We're just conservatives that don't know art. We don't know rap. But, you know, Cardi B is going to do what she wants. And it kind of makes sense why she's doing this type of stuff. Is one, she used to be a stripper, so maybe that's the only way that she knows how to show her art is through what she was when she was stripping and putting it on stage for everyone else to see. Or maybe she's trying to supplement her sex appeal because she doesn't have what it takes to be a rapper. Again, I don't know her. I'm not trying to belittle her in any means. I don't know anything about rap. But again, a lot of people do watch her, and it's just not a good thing for young men and young women to see. Moving forward with the article, Cardi B was pissed off at what Candace Owens said about her Grammy performance, so she found a doctored tweet of what Candace Owens supposedly had posted, again, even though it was doctored. And it said this. It said, yes, my husband did cheat on me with my brother. Yes, he said no one when I asked to join him. And this is just kind of how stupid Cardi B is. Why would anybody just, if you had to just think with logic and reason, why would anybody post that out there for thousands, if not millions of people to see? Like, why would, if it did happen, even though we know it didn't, if it did happen, why do you think Candace would be like, hey, you know what, this is a great idea to post on my social media page as private information, where if I didn't post it, maybe nobody would know about it, right? So automatically your senses, right? Your if it smells like you know what, then it probably isn't you know what, then, meaning if it smells like crap, you know it is crap, to kind of keep it PG. Candace Owens then calls Cardi B out for this doctored photo, and Cardi B says, this wasn't photoshopped. You was trending the whole day when you tweeted this, and it was published on a lot of blog outlets. You're right. Mine sleeps around. Yours sleeps at yours. Sleep at your home, and your brother cockboxing while you tweet me. This is how bad her English is. It's almost impossible to read this and not mess up. But her thinking of this, well, I found it on there on Google. I found it out there on a blog. I found it out there. It must be real. Nobody in their right mind could have doctored this photo and then posted it on their own blog. There's no way that could have happened. But again, this just shows Cardi B's intelligence, and there's no reason she should be trying to go up against Candace Owens. It'd be like me trying to fight Mike Tyson. You think I'd win? I'd get destroyed. But this Twitter feud goes back and forth. Candace Owens is trying to give Cardi B an out by saying, hey, look, just admit that you found this on a blog post. You were lying. I didn't actually say this, and I'm not going to sue you. And even more than that, you're slandering my brother, and we're going to sue you for that as well. But you know, Cardi B's not going to back down because she doesn't have the right intelligence to do so. So who knows how this is going to turn out. But there you have it. Candace Owens and Cardi B duking out over Twitter. Candace Owens is the victorious one here. Cardi B was knocked out in the first round. And that is all the news I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Share it with your friends and family on social media. Also, let me know if you want me to do a reaction video of Joe Biden's press conference that he is conducting on March 25th. And with that being said, I'll see you next time here on The Bald Brad Show.